So, are we guys ready?
I don't know, 45 minutes left.
We got about 45 minutes. I'm trying to get to into as much of the KPI stuff as I can. So, we have this. Remember at the very beginning I said, this is a simple business. I had this paper pinned to my wall. It is a simple business, right? We buy low, we sell high. And if you're doing one deal a month, that's very, very simple and straightforward. But what happens is as you start to scale, it starts to get more and more and more balls in the air. Each ball itself is very simple. But now, like I always ask people, who knows what a tickler file is? Only old people know, because now you all have the internet and stuff. But a tickler file was, you had to file one day for every day in the month, and you just were always sort of keeping track. But what happens is, now you've got one contract that came in on day 2 of the month, 3 contracts that came in on day 4, and now you start having so many contracts and so many different places in the process, right? Your job becomes, you start out, I'm going to do some marketing, send out my marketing, driving for dollars, postcards, texting, and then you're doing that until leads start coming in and you're talking to people, and now you start dealing with sellers. You're like, great, I got a couple properties under contract. Oh my God, panic, I need to sell them. Now you step over into the disposition spot. You're like, now you're running all over town, showing people, a couple people are still calling, you're doing all that. And every time you're like just switching hats, and then, okay, now I gotta do my transaction coordinating, right? Those are 4 distinct processes in your business that are all 25%, right? So if you're not, I know why. If you're not doing that and monitoring that and keeping track,
It's a computer.
no, I moved it to a different input the other day. But if you're not keeping track of that, it will get out of control super, super fast.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back. So, again, one of the biggest mistakes that I made was I would go to these things and people were like, you got to keep tracking your KPIs, you're not going to know what you're doing, you're not going to know what's going on in your business. And I'm like, look that, I'm doing 3 properties at a time, I can keep track of it all in my head. When you start to scale, it will spiral out of control faster than anything that you've ever seen. So, what should you be tracking? You got to track everything, right? And I would recommend at the very beginning you start keeping track of these things. At the very minimum, I was keeping the spreadsheet of what deals I was doing by year, right? So that I always knew how much I had done in assignment fees. It was the simplest of things, but I had to start someplace, right? So always understand too, what you're doing today takes 45 or 90 days to produce, right? Your cash conversion cycle, as my friend Robert likes to say. So the marketing that you're doing today is going to pay off for you. So if you're not closing anything today, you can look back in time and be pretty sure that you weren't doing enough marketing, your pay-per-click shit the bed, your texter was out that week, something happened, right? Because this is relatively consistent. So these are very simple KPIs that when you're just starting, you should be keeping track of this. You know, where are you getting your leads from, right? Are you doing driving for dollars? How many SMSs did you send? How many cold calls did you make? How many postcards? How many absentee postcards? How many were vacant? Like, what's your marketing? Like, start keeping track of something. Even on the most rudimentary level, start keeping track. If you guys want, I'll put in that our template for like everything we do, but it's a lot. I'm telling you, it will overwhelm you trying to keep track of that. Like, we have one person that we're hiring that is just good. That's going to be one of her jobs. So I'm not saying you don't have to do the most complicated thing, but start simple and start bolting onto it from there. So, what form of marketing did you deploy? I ask, Heather's not in here, she's on a call all the time, hey, where did this deal come from? I like to know, like, did it come from SMS? Did it come from a postcard? Did it come from pay-per-click? Where did it come from, right? And I was showing Victor and some of these guys on one of the breaks, like, we know exactly where all of our deals came from. And over the course of the year, we can go back and I go, well, my American Express tells me very clearly how much I spent on Facebook and Google, and then I can also look at how many deals I closed and I can see, did we make any money from that, all right? So you're never gonna be able to tell at the end of 1 week, right? It's not gonna tell you anything at the end of a week. But data is to be kept in long batches of time, quarter, half a year, full year, and you can look back and go, oh, this is working, this is not. Does that make sense? So what you do today is going to produce revenue for you in 45 to 90 days. So in the future, if you're having a killer week, you can look back and see where those dollars started. Are you okay? So and you should also keep track of every lead, like what produced this lead. And then again, after a quarter, after half a year, you start to build some history, and then that's how we're running businesses here. Now you can start to say, hey, here I can make some decisions based on my business, right? Because just like the buying rental properties, it's very easy to get these preconceived notions of, oh, pay-per-click is the best and SMS isn't good. I'm here to tell you, we use Ricardo's system, and we probably get more contracts from SMS, and it costs us less money than pay-per-click. Right? Now, we're getting more leads, less leads on pay-per-click, so it should produce, but ultimately it costs me less money to do SMS than it does pay-per-click. Right? Pay-per-click is going to be cheaper than SEO, but SEO maybe in the long term is going to be good. You do SEO, right? But it took some time to build up and get roots, right? Doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just understand how that marketing is going to pay off for you, right? So, where was the lead initiated? What marketing did it come from? And then you can track your spending over time as you watch for results, and you can either change your marketing or increase. Or let's say SMS is killing it, like we recently bumped up our SMS and went to a second VA. You know, so because SMS and Use on Ricardo's platform was working like a champ, so I'm like, hey, what do we need to do more of this? You know, second VA. Oh, $850 a month, bam, done. Let me do this, right? Because the numbers showed to us that this was working, right? So we want to make sure we're doing that. So again, with pay-per-click, even pay-per-click, SMS, whatever it is, you know, there's a cycle of how long it takes for those leads to germinate. Right? You can't turn it on today and go, oh, I got 50 leads. They're gonna start over time, and then you're filling your funnel, and there's gonna be a lot of follow-up. So, but if you keep track, you can start to see which one's producing for you. So, tracking your leads. This is what we ask for when we're doing SMS. Are you the owner? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell in the next 90 days? I don't have my VA asking, hey Penelope, what do you want to sell your house for? Because anybody that's been doing this a while, you know, sellers will give you crazy numbers, right? Same thing with buyers. They'll give you a low-ball, crazy number just to see where things are at. So I don't want my acquisitions people to see that and go, oh, I shouldn't mess with this lead. I want them to call and talk to everybody. And again, acquisitions, the way that they have their call flow is the exact same as Dispo. Build rapport, tell me about the property, what's your pain, what's going on, what would you like to see happen, tell me how I can help, how much are you asking? It's at the end, it's always at the end, right? Oh, I know you're looking for 40,000, Mrs. Smith, I'm probably at 32, but hey, here's the good news is, I know you said your property's going to foreclosure, I think I can help you get that done before that. Poke the pain, because that's why somebody's calling you, that property's keeping them up at night. So, you want to be tracking your leads during the week, and then from this, so you've got motivated leads, follow-up leads, not interested, total leads, right? Because not everybody, some of you are just going to zero out right away. They somehow got into your funnel, and you call them, and they're like, oh, I just wanted to see what you would give me. That's, you know, depending upon your rapport and how it goes with them, they may just be tire kickers. But someone like, yeah, I'm thinking about selling in the next 3 months, that's a follow-up. Lee's like, I gotta sell this thing right now, I'm getting divorced, and this crazy bitch is gonna strip me dry. He's a motivated seller. He's a motivated seller, right? So within this, right, now we can gauge our acquisitions people. If they're getting, each acquisitions person getting 40 leads a week, and 39 of them are not interested, you probably have a person problem, right? Same thing with my Dispo. I'll show you in a minute. I can look at their KPIs and tell you where the flaw is.
Hey David, on your SMS, how are you tracking your KPIs again? Like amount of messages sent?
That was on the Freedom Soft. I'm not sure. Narissa's just tracking on yours, number of texts sent, number of responses.
All right, so this is what we do. Let me see real quick before you move on. We do number of messages sent, then number of responses. Mm-hmm. From responses, we go to leads.
Yeah. So that's two different forms here, and you can combine them. What I did was I created a very simple for our coaching students, because they're not they don't need the advanced sheet that I've got.
Right.
That's too much for them, because what would happen is if I gave that to them, they're gonna spend 6 hours a week filling out a form instead of being on the call.
Got it. Then from leads we go to contracts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're doing the same thing. So, because contracts is the next, once it becomes a contract, now we start doing dispo tracking. So, this is the form that I keep up on my website, on one of my monitors all the time. The tab is always there when the girls walk in. They start talking, I'm like, hold on, I'm gonna pull this up and see what the address is. So again, simple. Who the dispo person is, type of property, address, right? It's just the basic stuff, and I created this for me because we're always so many properties in and out that I have just something. Beds, bath, contract price, sale price, you know, occupancy, and they get copies of this, they've got this, and they have access to it all the time. Because again, it's kind of broken out by who the dispo person is. This is an old one. We like to keep track of vacant tenant, right? Because they need to know that, so they know how to schedule showings, the buying contract date, and the status, whether or not it's under contract. So again, you don't have to have that. We just do a lot of deals. I used to have it on a whiteboard, and I just found that once I put it online, it was easier because I could pull it up at home. Really, we got all these TVs sitting around. My vision when we got this place a year ago was to have this kind of stuff on the TV, and honestly, I'm not smart enough to figure out how to put it up there. So I need to get someone to do it for me. I think we can do it with a Fire Stick somehow. Yeah, just Fire Stick to that website. It should dynamically update. Anyways, so this is just a list of what we've got for dispo. Pretty typical. That's a little light right now. And then I was showing some of these guys earlier. Spread dot won't work. Again, I got very tired of having meetings with our staff saying, have we done everything that we're supposed to do along the process of the dispo process? And someone saying no. So I got really aggravated. One day I went in my office and like Fred Flintstone started banging on the keyboard, and I created a check sheet for them. So every property, contract approved, meaning I got it in dispositions and I approved it. Pictures and videos ordered. Somebody's responsible for that. They need to check mark it. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is Google Sheets. You can actually put comments in there, so when I hover over it, it pops up and it says, talk to the seller, whatever, right? Whatever you want. You may have a CRM that does all this stuff. FreedomSoft does it for us. That's why I use this. But you don't have to have a CRM, right? You guys know that. You can run everything off of Google Sheets or Excel or whatever, right?
our CRM has that already built. We built it.
Yeah.
It's check mark.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I love Airtables, because it does all kinds of cool things. So anyways, it just goes along the line, right? The seller sent the seller doc back. We've got our leases. We've done pictures. They're on the website. They pull the buyers list. We've emailed it. We've text blasted it. We've RVM'd it. We've sent out postcards. We've got our inspection schedule for our buyers. We've sold it. We've collected EMD. The transaction coordinator's got her checklist and all that stuff, right? So, all that stuff. Are you ready to?
No, I'll
Okay.
just offer him.
Okay, I'm trying to watch. So does that make sense what these are? And I can show you if you want like the full blown out sheet and how we do it, but it's a lot. So I don't want to give it to you. It's a lot. So something moves from this sheet to the next sheet, which is scheduled to close. This was in the old days when we were doing transactions in-house before Easy and we had a built-out CRM. This is what we were using. The date we contracted to sell, who our dispo person was, again, the type, the address, city, state, bedroom, bath, all that. Contract price. Now, selling price here changed from the other page because this is what we actually sold it for and what the assignment fee was. So when I did this, we had $211,000 in escrow. So I could see, as the business owner, how much I've got out there in projected assignment fees, right? So, TC notes and the dates that it was scheduled to close. So we're collecting, again, there a lot of data that over the course of a year you'll be able to use for other stuff. So, again, how do we use this data to get better? All right, we can look at average assignment fees, we can look at total assignments, how much did we assign this month, how much did we collect. There's lots of ways to take this data and start to, same thing with buying pulling buyer and seller data. Your own data you can manipulate and use a lot of different ways. Cool? Alright. So, closed deal tracking. This is a screenshot of, these are all tabs on the bottom of our Excel sheet or Google Drive sheet, whatever it is. So, this is kind of like the roll-up. We've closed these deals. I've got the date we bought it, I've got the date we sold it, and I've got the date it closed. You understand those are three different, right? The acquisition date, disposition date, the closing date. So the reason we keep track of those is now I have the number of days between the time I contracted it and the number of days between the time I contracted it and the time that Dispo put it under contract. All right? So this number here, this is a number that Dispositions as a team is responsible for. It was averaging 24.3 days the day I screenshotted this. So it's taking 3 weeks to sell a contract. Okay, a little bit high. So now, you've ever gotten a GPS thing and it says you will arrive in 1 hour and 13 minutes. What are we playing? Beat the clock, right? So Dispo is always, we've stopped doing this a little bit since we blew everything up and we've been rehiring, but starting on January 1st, they're going to be back on this clock and beat the number, right?
Do you sell your contract as soon as you lock it up, or do you wait for clear title?
We send it out right away.
Oh. Yeah, because we wait for clear title.
We don't. Why? What's the worst thing is I'm going to get back EMD. But again, I'm trying to speed. We're in and out. Trying to get in and out as quick as you can. I would much rather give somebody back their EMD than wait 3 weeks for title right now. And right now, you've got to pay for that title search. Nobody's searching them for free, unless you're cooking a deal. So you've got to, right? Title companies don't want it. They're not going to take your contract and search for free anymore. Those days are over, unless you know somebody.
Yeah, I know somebody.
Right?
But we don't use them
How's it working
anymore.
How's it working?
It's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. So I don't want to wait on that, right? My Dispo, they got stuff to do. They're ready. They need to keep moving. Speed.
Sometimes they clear up those title issues, and that EMD will wait, what, months?
Yeah, I'm not saying once we give it to them, they don't say something's wrong, and then we go back and go, hey, Johnny, we got to fix these couple things because I've committed to give you a clear title. I don't want to give you a bad property. All right, cool. Like, we wait. It happens every so often. We had one. How long did Terre Haute go? Still going.
It's still going.
And that was what, 2 months old? What's that?
She signed the contract on September 8th.
Yeah. So I'm not saying we don't extend it out, but we want to start as quick as we can. Because my problem is today I had whatever that is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 17 properties, right? More properties are coming next week. Like it's like your rent check every month. It just keeps coming. Like I got to get them out as quick as I can. I don't want to wait.
How are you paying out EMD? You just do a bill pay, or
How am I doing? What?
if you got paid back EMD?
I'd rather check and send it. So yeah, so again, y'all do whatever. This is just how we do it.
Man, we got this one online bank that we use now, Brex.
Yeah.
We just send ACH.
Yeah. Costs you money though, right?
No, 0.
Oh, but it doesn't go for like 72 hours or something, right?
No, well, who cares? I send them the capture, so I send you the money. Sometimes it hits the same day.
Yeah.
So it depends on how the cutoff of the banks is.
I think there's two kinds of ACH.
There
One
is.
through bill pay, which takes about a day. The other one is immediate, and that costs
It's $30.
Well, I've sent ACH through Brex, and it's the same day.
Yeah. I need to get on Brex.
Yeah, let me send you a link so I can make $250 on it.
$250?
Affiliate, yeah.
You see them in all the airports, like the.
Where do you think I'm selling it? No, it's a good bank, dude. I found out because of Robert.
And is it? They're accepted everywhere. Do they run MasterCard, Visa, whatever?
Everything, dude.
Like when I go to Lowe's, how do they accept it?
Debit card,
Oh, it's a debit card. It's not a check card.
and you can get a credit card with it too.
Oh, okay. So it would be Visa or MasterCard.
And actually, on your debit card, depending on your balances, they actually give you credit. They have this dynamic credit thing that they run.
Sounds like some Robin Hood shit. Like
Yeah.
giving you credit on. I don't understand.
Me neither, but like they call it dynamic credit. And let's say you got, I don't know, $1,000, they're giving you like another $500 in credit that you can run.
So it's sort of like a secured card or whatever.
Bro, I
it is.
have no idea how they do it. I don't care. It's in there
It's there.
and it works. And that's how we pay the guys too. We pay them through ACH.
Yeah. Oh, you know you can if you treat your employees as 1099, you can pay them through a credit card, get the miles.
They're all, on my case, they're all 1099.
Whoa!
I got no go-to.
Yeah. Go in as QuickBooks and set up a contract. It gives you the option to pay by a card. So now you can run your payroll through your Amex and get miles for.
Well, I can't do Amex right now. They have a plaque of me in the American Express.
So yeah, but you can.
Wow.
Miles are pretty good. My boy Nick Perry gets more miles than anybody I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my life. Like he can travel the world 3 times and never.
Free.
He does so much pay-per-click. So, anyways, so kind of see how all that sort of starts. We want to track our marketing, then we want to track the leads that come in. We want to track what we've actually got on the contract. We want to track, is everybody doing their job to get this sold, because we're a sales and marketing company. And then our TCs, I want to see what they're responsible for, because at every Monday morning meeting, what do our TCs have to do? Here's what's closing this week. Everybody's very interested in what's closing this week because they're all getting paid, right, on
Right.
commission. So then, and then we're closed deal data, right? So closed deal data. So now, acquisitions is held to a number, but then there's a date between the selling contract and the closing date. Now I can hold my transactions to a number too. Why isn't this closing faster? What are we doing? Why are you talking to the title company? What's the problem? What's the holdup? Is this title company stuck? Let's find another one, right? Because now we have an average, and I know that we're always trying to beat the clock and get that number down. We're going to introduce some cool stuff in our company. Spoiler alert, on January 1st that deals with this. And if we can beat the clock, it's going to be good for you. So again, acquisitions manager, dispo manager, property, city. So all these things become trackable things that if you're really good with Excel, you can pivot table or something and feel like you know, right? See all the data that you can extract here, and like which market did you sell? What did you sell? What was your average assignment fee? What market should I be spending my money in, right? Zip code. What zip codes should I be tracking? What was my average buying contract? What was my average selling? What was my assignment fee? What's the average assignment fee? What was the average estimate of the properties that I put under contract? So after a year, you start to get really good data to know, hey, I'm locking up and selling contracts at 42% of Zillow, or actually 51%. And then I was selling at 66.57% of Zillow. So that's where I was making our 15%. So over time, that data, and then I can further break that down by market, right? And then I could say, well, in Louisville, I've been doing this, and in Charlotte, I'm doing this, and in Houston, I'm doing this, and in Orlando. See that, like the way you could just pull all this data and start manipulating it, just to make good buying decisions. Should we be in Louisville? I don't know, our average assignment fee is $7,200. But Houston, it's $23,000. Let's take that money and put it over to Houston and see if we can double down. This is why you have to keep track of the KPIs. Because we run businesses, right? 20,000 that's our target assignment fee. So, we were at 61.6% of that at the time. Percent of our estimate to the buyer, 66 projected revenue. So on acquisitions, they were responsible before the contract even came to me to project out the revenue. Yeah, I think we'll make 12, 15, 20, 25, 40, right? They had to put that on paper in the form. And then we could always compare that. Does acquisitions have like big eyes at the buffet? Like, oh, we're gonna make $1 million and we make 12, right? Because now I need to do some training there, because now I can look back and go, well, acquisitions is putting stuff under contract too high. They've got training issues. I understand that. Does that make sense? That's really important. So, protected revenue. And then the deviation. So the deviation at the time this screenshot was done was 2,700. They were off by 2,700. terrible, but it's not great, right? But
What's
it
the
could be better.
deviation again?
If they were, let's say they were projecting 15,000, we were coming in at 13, 27 or 12.3. So there was that little bit of deviation of what, you know. So either acquisitions is selling too low, or sorry, dispositions is selling too low, or acquisitions is too high. All right, so you can start to look at that.
You basically take once a week and go through all these numbers too.
Yeah. Well, this is more like we sit with the managers and look at this. So then you can take all this, and then you can run it to another sheet that I don't have on here, where I can start to look at how much Olivia put under contract, how much Brooke put under contract, how much Hannah put under contract on the dispo side, and you know, I can say, okay, who's actually performing and making the company money? Like who you know, who's producing more? And there are a lot of sales teams that will do that. Like the lowest person's just out. Bring somebody new. If they're not meeting minimums, you know, keeping the KPIs. So, but same thing you can do on your acquisitions team, right? You can pull a ton of data from this. By month, who's your highest performer, you know.
Is that something you put on the Google Drive for us, or do we just have to ask you for it, or
I'll
is
do
that your
it. I'll do it, but I'm going to strip all of our data out of it. Problem is, when I strip the data out of it, you're going to lose a lot of the formulas because I'm not really great at it. So,
Dude, just leave the old leads that didn't close.
yeah.
We delete it later.
All the ones that didn't close.
Vultures out there. Vultures. This is why I keep. You notice there's only stuff here from April, right? I don't put anything relatively current in here because, you know.
Some people write down addresses, like, right?
People are like, oh, taking pictures, zooming in. That iPhone, Randy can get it from back there.
Yeah.
You're like, why don't you show today's stuff? Well, because some of those deals haven't closed yet. So what we started tracking about 2 years ago was dead deals. You want to know why you blow up your company? Because you have too many dead deals. Because you get people putting stuff under contract that they shouldn't be doing. So you're going to learn more from your dead deals than you ever do the deals at work. If you're smart, right? Because we've also deals where we made 40 grand. We're like, woo! You know, you don't put any thought in that. It's just like you do the dance, but you should be looking at the deals that don't work, right? Because every one of these deals costs dollars to put under contract. Your marketing dollars, your payroll dollars, your time. You know, it went under contract, then it went to dispositions. They pulled the buyers list. They skip traced it. They paid for pictures. We sent out postcards. You know, like all those things. Like there's real expenses after you put it under contract. We pay for skip tracing. We pay for texting. We pay for, you know, like there's expenses, right? And did I tie up the dispo team? Tried to sell every one of these properties and they failed. So buying contract date, days on market, the days that we tried to sell it. So some of these we worked for 112 days. Some of them, one day is it came over and I'm like, fuck this, we're not doing this. This is stupid. Kill this contract. So the date it was killed, who put it under contract? Because again, trackable. Who has the most number of killed deals? Right? So if one person has the highest closed deals and the highest killed deals, you got a problem. They're just putting everything under contract, right? What type was it? Was it single family, land, right? Multifamily, mobile home. So now we start to get a picture of what kind of shit are we putting under. We stopped doing land because of this. We were, you know, land it's fine if you want to specialize in land, but we didn't. And we were just getting crap. They obviously didn't understand how to price it. Property address, city, state, zip code, contract price. If there's a selling number there, it meant we actually tried to sell it. If there wasn't, it means we probably killed it really quick. So like where it's 12 days and there was no price, it's because we were trying to figure out what the hell it was. Dolphin Island, those two. Land that was underwater, the beach had washed away. Seemed like a great deal, and we ran comps for it. Legit. Ran comps, they're like, $100,000 beachfront property. Well, I called the realtor and she's like, okay, I'll check it out. And she never called me back. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, hey, what the hell's going on down there? You know how like you've all looked at overlays of property boundaries and you know how it's always off list a little bit? Well, I went back and looked at it and I'm like, property line's a little bit in the water. And I'm like, so legit, like, I had to look at it like 3 times before it dawned on me, and I went to Zillow, and I'm looking at like what lots are selling for. And then I look back and I'm like, because nobody would call us back. Are you guys out?
Yeah.
All right.
Go have a good flight.
Oh, we're driving.
You're
but
driving?
We got like 7 hours.
All right.
Bye. Thank you for
Bye.
everything.
Please drive
Yeah, we're in
safe.
the middle of the
Well,
country here.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
guys.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. Got something good out of it.
Bye, everybody.
Did you go say hi? Bye to Heather. She's on the phone in there.
No, I'll go way better.
Go, yeah, you can go this way.
Go that
just
way.
She's on a Zoom call. So legit. Then I looked at it, and then I started doing a little bit of research. I'm like, Dolphin Island, Alabama. Like, what's going on? Turns out the hurricane came in and washed the beach away, and the water came up. You know, the beach went down, the water came up, and you know, again, acquisitions. The lesson there was they weren't asking good enough questions, right? And we had to kill those contracts. So it took me 12 days to figure that out. So, selling price, like if we tried it, what this estimate percent was, what we thought we were going to assign it at, reason why it died, rejected before auction, unable to find buyer, property was obsolete, land was underwater, title issues. So again, these are a drop-down menu that they're trackable things. So we can, at the end of the year, we can pull a thing, an Excel thing. Somebody smart can pull an Excel thing and say, hey, this percentage of deals died because of the buyer backed out, or the seller backed out, or the property was not what we thought it was, or see all this stuff. It's just starting to give you a picture, and at the end of the year, you can see how you're running your business. All right. So, reason why, and then notes, right? Price too high, no interest, rural. So you start to get a feel for like why are our deals dying, because you have to know. Right? You have to know what's working and what's not. And typically, you're going to learn more from the stuff that's not working than the stuff that is. Because you want to stop doing the dumb stuff.